Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan. Welcome to GDXR. The idea in this video is to take a look at the GDXR VR Ultimate template, which is currently on the Epic Games Marketplace. If you're watching the video while it releases, it's currently on sale for 30% off, so make sure to have a look in the description for a link. And the idea is to just go over what the template features and how it's built, so you guys can use this to get a head start on your VR development and kind of jump into Unreal Engine 5.1, 0.2 and 0.3 to kind of get a head start on what you need. So the grounds of the template is built on the original Epic Games VR template that they provide. I kind of took that and used that as the framework. So we use OpenXR for the entire thing. We don't use any other plugins. So we go into here. We've got Virtual Reality Meta XR is disabled. You can actually build this thing to the headset and it works fine. And we're just using OpenXR for everything. We do use the enhanced input system, so we can actually switch controller bindings out at runtime to have 5 different movement methods. And then that allows us to have all our interactions in there as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into the project, make this full screen, and then we'll kind of go around and we'll take a look at what's in it. So we got our skeleton mesh hands, and what I want to do first is actually open up the handheld menu which we've got. So this has been redesigned so it's just a little bit nicer. And we can actually use our index finger from the hands to interact with the menu. And you can see that we've got a whole bunch of other stuff in here as well. So we've got movement settings, rotation, so you can switch between snap, turn and smooth, as well as rotation value, so you can kind of have what you want. And as a developer you can go in there, you can add all this in yourself as well. So you can add a lot more options. Controls, so we've got the ability to switch between hands, so you can see we can go from skeletal mesh hands to controllers and then back again. And should we hide hands when grabbing an object? For example, if we enable it, which one? Oh wait, there we go. So we enable it, and then when we grab something we can hide our hands. So we can do all of this. We have this built into the menu, but you can actually disable and enable these on start. So if you don't want these options available to the player, you can have all these done in the back end to switch. So we then have HUD options. So we can't see the HUD at the minute. It's actually there, but we bring some notifications to it. We can actually change the distance to it. And as an example, we can change the menu to make it closer. And then we can tap where we want it to go. Oh, bit touchy, but with some refinement we can get there. We've got a save and load system built in, so all these options go through our game instance and then they get saved out to a save file which you can then bring in and load back in. Collab viewer, this is going to be the multiplayer side of it. So for local LAN networked based VR, especially desktop, this already works. We do replicate the headset and the motion controller positions, so you should be able to give that a shot. And then in home we have got reset orientation and restart the application, so we can do those. And we've also got a screen fade and load system which we'll come back to, and that's all built in. Two-handed grabbing, we've got that as well, so hand snaps to locations. And it's important to point out that this is done entirely with blueprints, so I'm trying to record this while I can see what's on the screen under my nose. And we've got this built in, and I don't want to shoot all of these, but I've got it set up so we can destroy some stuff. And we've got the handguns as well. And we've got these holsters which you can use to attach items to the player's body. And hopefully you can see those if I look down a little bit more. And you can use those however you'd like to do, I don't know, something like a backpack. You could put them into another blueprint and have it all attached in it. We've got the original snap grabbing setup, so we can grab cubes and whatnot, do what we need to do. And then we had the free grabbing, which I shot them all, but it's pretty much this. So if I get close and not in front of my desk, I can actually pick up the balls. You can see it's freely grabbed where we are. So then I can actually pick these up and try and throw them. I'm not very good at this. There we go. But I've tried improving the throwing as well for what's in the original template. No, they're too bouncy. But yeah, so we've got that. Next on to movement methods. I'm kind of just going to keep going through it. We can jump. So I can use the A button to jump, and we can enable or disable this if you want to. And for the other ones, we've got our movement, we've got teleport. So we can just teleport around our scene, do what we want to do. And then settings, shift movement. So this allows us to pick a location and then move to it. And you'll see that as I do this, the controls actually rebind. Try to see where I am. So snap turn is now on my left thumb, and then push forward is teleport. Whereas if I open up my settings menu and I go to something like smooth location, we can actually move around with our full thumbstick now, and then we can snap turn with our right thumbstick, and pushing forward doesn't allow us to teleport. Whereas we've got both. Oh, put you back. Settings, and then smooth location, locomotion, and teleport. This pretty much does exactly what it says. We can move around, we can jump around, we can crouch, change player's speed based on crouch height. So if you crouch, you get slower. And then we can actually push forward with the right thumbstick now to move around. Settings, and then flying is exactly what it sounds like. We can go up and down, and you can see that actually done by the buttons on the left controller now. And move around is done with the left stick, and we go based on where our head or where we're looking. So we can have some free roam, move around, and then we can hop up here, settings, because I like smooth locomotion and teleport, and then we come back to the jumping as well. So what we've got is snap locations. So I built it in so if you want to snap to a specific point on an actor, you can see when we get close to it, it actually snaps to it as well. So I can use this, we fade out, and then we use this as a little teleport pad to get up and down. Save some time. Or what we could do is we could use hand snapping to climb. So I've got locations on the actor where if I'm close to it, I can grab and our hands move to it, and then I can actually climb up this object, up the ladder, and then we've got free grabbing so we can get up and over. And then we can do that all the way up as well, which is quite nice. Let's go. Oh, I got an itch. And then we're back up. So what we've done is, this was a requested feature actually, on the rock wall we have different types of climbing. So you saw we've got snap climbing there. We actually have a free climbing method, so we use a collision preset. So we can grab anywhere on a surface to climb. So I don't have it on this wall, but there's nothing stopping you from making the entire wall climbable. One thing that was asked is, if you climb up and you grab something, can we make it drop you? And the answer is yes. So we built some little drop holds in there. Which route to start in? Interactables. We'll do widgets. Cool. So we've covered about heads-up displays. Interactables, we have grabbable door handles, so I can actually rotate those and then unlock it and open the door. And this is done per side as well, so we can choose what side of the door we're on. Okay, so widgets, we can actually go in and do those up. Pretty much what it is. Digital key code example was something that we were asked for. What I'm going to do for these, just to show off what we can do, is go to controls and change the controller. And now you can see that we actually get an interactable pointer that we can use to interact with widgets from a distance. So if I enter the code 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, we turn the light on. Cool. And then we've also got the same thing for the menu, so we can go through rotation controls, HUD. And the idea with this one is we can put 3D menus into the level and use custom collision channels to interact with these however you'd like them to be in there. Just trying to add as much like feedback and blueprints that you can use without getting too overcomplicated, and then give you some examples as well of them in use. So movement, what we're going to do is going to go to controls. I'm going to switch the controls back to our hands. I need to update that. So we got those. And then we have our gaze interaction. So a lot of people apparently still really like the idea of being able to interact with UI or actors with their eyes or their head. This does not support eye tracking at the minute, But what you can do is you can just enable the eye tracking on your headset through OpenXR and feed the location into the line trace within the component. So it's very easy to implement. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enable it for the demo. So if I press the button, we'll see that we get the pointer on our screen, and then we can actually interact with actors that are in the level. So you can see I can look at it, and then based on the timer, we can do stuff. We tell actors to do things, turn them on and off, or we can also do the same thing with the UI. So I can go to different levels. This right now, the UI interaction has it set up so it'll constantly feed around on the timer, but you can change a bunch of settings in some structs that I've got, which I'll show you in a minute, to go over what's in there, and then how you can actually customize this a lot more from the position to the design to the everything else. There's probably some stuff I'll forget in this. Cool. So we've looked at the gaze interaction. We've got the gaze interaction. What we've got here is a HUD notification system. So if I go up to something, I can actually grab it and I can tell the HUD on the player to display information. So it's a bit jittery. It could do with smoothing out just some settings, but you can see that we can actually pick stuff up and we can send information to the player, which we can go through. Player component attached by default. Yeah, so the HUD component is attached by default, and that's what allows us to see the notifications from the actors. It's the same as what we can put on the screen. We've also got a VR print string node, which is set up so it can actually read and output to the log data directly to the VR HUD, so you can see it without kind of looking up to the left or in the corner. Load level, we've got actors for those to show how you can actually fade the screen out, show an OpenXR window, and then bring it back in. And you can see that just restarts the level for us. And if we open this door again, we've got the XR load screen. So when it comes on, you can actually customize all of this and display it as you want, and change that out for any branding kind of situation you need. The whole template itself is built for mobile VR, so it's pretty efficient, and the idea is that we don't use any ticks or event ticks. We use timers for pretty much all interactions, and for the screen fade we don't use mobile HDR. It's actually a sphere with a dynamic material which fades out. We've also got a spectator camera, where in the default template you can press tab on the keyboard to control this. But in here, what we can do is we can actually pick it up, we can look at it, and then if I can use the trigger, so the right or left trigger, whichever one I'm holding with, to enable it on PC. So now I can see where you are, and you can see the result of what is on the spectator camera. So I can move this around. I can apparently not let go of it, but then we can actually go around and switch up. So yeah, so we've got a spectator camera in there, which probably could do with a little bit more work. Because of that, I'm going to restart. So we're back to normal. Okay, so we've done HUDs, we've done climbing, we've done movement, pretty much grabbing. Door handles, we've covered door handles. Okay, let's go through. And now we've got the little interactions, which I'm pretty happy with, to be fair. So we've got flick switches, and then depending on where I am on my desk, I can punch it. We can flick the switch, turn lights on and off. We use interfaces for these, so it's pretty efficient. So you can actually tell them what to talk to. We've got a full library for that. Tap buttons. We can actually have little areas and collisions. These are all set up as just little examples that we can do to show what's going on. And then slider buttons. We can actually use our finger to interact with different things. So we can slide the button all the way through, and then we can use that to activate and deactivate. Rotating cube. This is something people don't actually know already exists in Unreal, so I kind of just threw it in there. And then custom hands. So we've already looked at the grabbing for weapons, and what you can see is our finger, we actually have blend spaces, so you can create custom animations based on the weapon you're holding. So you can see that we've got a grip, and then we can move it around as so. And we do that for the skeleton mesh interactions. If you want to, you don't have to. So then when we grab something, we can actually move the hand and we can create custom animations for them. And then we move that to the location as well. So keycard example, so once the correct keycard's inserted, we turn the light on. Interactable drawers, pretty much sliders. And then we actually have an example here of ghost hands. So when we interact with something, you have the ability to turn on and off the location of the original hand. what might actually be a good thing to do is switch that out for the motion controller. So when you grab, we view the motion controller instead. So with 5.2 and 5.3, the XR components, that could actually be a really good use for that, which we'll look into. Switch lever, exactly what it says. We can grab it. We snap the hand to the location. We show our ghost hand. You don't have to have the ghost hand on, as you've seen with most of the other grab interactions. But in these examples, I have them on just to show that it's there. And then we've got wheels and radial wheels. This, by the way, was the most complex map I've done in VR. So this is the main reason to buy the template, that this pain here, but I'll look at doing a tutorial on it for you guys as well. So, joysticks. This is hinting at a future update where I'd like to add vehicles. Haven't got around to it yet, but hopefully soon. The idea is that we've got a joystick and we can use that to control the location of an object, i.e. a spaceship. And then we've got a thruster with a interactable. So we set these up with event dispatchers and blueprint interfaces. So if the actors are inside of another actor, you can read all the values out. And in this case, we have the interface go through to a UMG. So when we grab, we can actually move forward and we can see that we can actually feed that value in based on its location along the slider, which is a lot of fun as well. So I'm not going to crawl under there, my back's killing me. We're going to open the door, go through, and then I've covered weapons. Oh, we got the weapon counter on the back. Set that up as an example. So when you fire, it actually drops down. Kind of just put that in there so you can see how to communicate from actors to 3D widgets. And then reuse those for different places. So that's only one widget used on both weapons. Open the door. And the idea behind the template is, although that we're building it for a starting point, it is done entirely with blueprints for beginners as well. So all the concepts are very simple. We try to keep them as easy as possible to use because there's no point overcomplicating it. And we do have some other weapons, and I would like to fill this entire wall as well. Bow and arrows is a really, really popular request, so I need to look at doing that. But I can actually pick these up and interact with all of these as well. And then different shot types. So you can see that the shotgun has spread, and this one's just a rifle. So we can actually aim through, and I'm pretty sure I've got health on this guy, so we can actually kill him with a headshot. And then he'll respawn in. Cool. There is audio on the weapons, but I've got the volume down just so I can talk. And then we can dual wield. I do have collisions on the hands. I've probably replaced these a little bit better, but we can actually fire these and interact with different things. So we've got impulse on weapons, probably a little bit too high. Interact. And then we've got the swords as well. Which we can do. Pretty sure my hands got bigger. I'll have to check that. Probably just scaled it a bit too much. And then we got another TV remote, which was a blueprint example that somebody asked for, which I kind of put in there real quick. So that's that one. Got that guy. Weapons, crouching, menus. I'm trying to think of everything we've done. Moving platform, just so you can do that. Oh, we got a free grabbing example back. So yeah, you can see we can grab it where we want. And I think that's it for pretty much showing off the template itself, going around it. So it's taken a little while. Oh, about 20 minutes. But what we can do is we can actually go through a couple of errors. Can ignore those. I will fix them. And I can show you how most, if not all of this works. So what we've got is a data folder. And in here we actually have a struct for character settings where you can go in. And if you can't see the default values, you can go to Window, select Default Values, and then you can actually modify these where you want as your default options. So if you start the game and you don't want your players to have a menu, you can actually set the movement methods, whether they use the controllers or the hands. So show controllers is off, hide hands when grabbing, enable climbing, and you can do all of this at runtime as well. So if a player loses health, for example, you could disable climbing. Or you could make them fall, that kind of thing. You can fire those through the events. Can the player jump or can they move? So you can actually disable movement. Let's say you're in a cutscene and you don't want them to go anywhere. You could just change this struct setting and then it would actually do that for you. We've got these split up for most things. There is an engine bug where you need to refresh the blueprints that use the struts, but it's like 3 blueprints, you'll be good. Don't let that put you off. I just want to be transparent about it. VR character, if we open this up, it's going to look a lot more intense than it actually is, but literally everything is done with blueprints. If we go through, we've got the event graph, which is our main one, and we also have a movement graph. And this movement graph does exactly what it says. It controls all the movement in our project. Interactions are all done through a grab component. So if I go to switch lever, you'll see that we've got the hands shown in yellow. These are just for visuals for the developer, so they can position them correctly. But the interactables have a grab component, and this has been modified to have a bunch of other options available to you. So in this case, it's a stationary interaction. So when we grab it, we just attach the hands to it, and then we can use that information from the grab component to drive the actual code and logic for the blueprint. And we pretty much do that all the way through. We have options in here for grab components to do first and second hands. So it's been heavily modified, but the idea is to still keep it as easy as possible. We also have a custom function library, so I can open this up. It's got a couple of things in here for this one. And then we've got a couple here, so is single shot or shotgun. You can actually feed these in, and I show how to use these in the weapon blueprints. I'm not going to be able to go over everything in here, but definitely check out the documentation if you're interested. But regarding blueprints, we have quite a few of them. Some of these might be original to the template, and it is counting some components, but we've got about 69 of them. And then those are split up. Skeletal meshes, we have those in here as well. So we've got the weapons, and then we've actually got a Manny and mannequin symbol, and we've got a whole bunch of demo content in here as well, which we can go through. So you can actually change these all out as you want to. Lyra audio, Lyra weapons, control rig examples I'd like to implement, and a bunch of other different things. Demo content, UMG, we've got VFX particles, bunch of textures, meshes, materials, a couple of maps, and the enhanced input system. And one thing I do want to point out before I forget, or make sure I don't forget, is the template does utilize custom collisions on the hands, and this is the only thing that would cause an issue to migrate this to another project, but it's not impossible. If you go to project settings and then collisions, you can see here that we have a VR interactable hand collision, wall collision, and then we've got a couple of collisions down here. If you were to change, if you wanted to put this template inside of an existing project, all you would need to do is export this collisions file out, import it into your new project, and then migrate the GDXR template folder to your new template, to your existing project. From there, in project settings, you just need to make sure that the OpenXR input file is set to the correct one, in this case GameDevXR, and inside of maps and modes, you will need to use the VR game mode, which is part of the template, so make sure it's got the correct one selected. You can kind of hover over it, and then the correct VR game instance, and you do need the game instance. So off the top of my head, I believe that is everything. And if you are interested, what you can do is you could head over to the Epic Games Marketplace, where right now it is on 30% off. I'm going to do a new incognito, paste, and then you can grab that for a discounted price now. It was my birthday on Saturday, so it's a 30% off for turning 30, but in this case it's also a kind of early Unity developer fee. So if you want to hop over to the engine and check it out, make sure to have a look. It does say 5.1 to 5.2. I have submitted the 5.3 build as of last night, so once that's uploaded it should be available to you, and that's already been submitted alongside a fix for 5.2. So make sure to head on over, go through all the reviews. They've been so awesome. We've got 5 stars out of 22, and I've done my best to answer all the questions. One thing to note in here, it's a popular question, is we do not use physics apart from gravity for the players or the interactions. We don't use anything like constraints or IK systems. I would like to add those in the future once Epic stop modifying the chaos system and having some issues with that on different engine versions, which has caused other developers issues in the past. So the idea is to just keep this simple, have as much content in there as possible, see how far we can pack it up, and kind of just go with it, really. All your feedback is very helpful, so if there's something in the template which you would like as a recurring thing, and it can be its own standalone thing, then make sure to let me know either in the comments or in the Discord, and we can go from there. I'm happy to put whatever we need in this. The idea is to build it as long and far as we can, put as much stuff in there, help everyone. So it's already been 25 minutes. I'm not going to edit this video, I'm just going to upload it. So let me know what you think. Make sure to check it out. Any help is fantastic, and I do plan on getting networking it, so it'll be good. Awesome. Alright, I'll see you all over by the Discord, and hopefully on the marketplace. Alright, bye.